Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, observing the armies of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, today we'll recite the text 1. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetra Kurukshetre Samaveta Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Bhima Kurvata Sanjaya. What was meaning? Dhritarashtra Vacha, King Dhritarashtra said, Dharmakshetra, in the place of pilgrimage, Kurukshetra, in the place named Kurukshetra, Samaveta, assemble, Yutsava, desiring to fight, Mamaka, my party son, Pandava, the son of Pandu, Cha and Eva, certainly him, what? Apurvata, did they do? Sanjay, O Sanjay. Translation. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu, assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Part 1 by Divine Visualization Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita is a worldly read, theistic song summarized in the Gita Mahatma, glorification of the Gita. It says that one should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Shri Krishna and try to understand it with a personally motivated interpretation. So, in the first, in the beginning of this purport, Srila Prabhupada very specifically Prabhupada clarified that how one should read Bhagavad Gita. It doesn't mean that one should read Bhagavad Gita with his own eye or with his own whimsical eye. It is not like that because Bhagavad Gita is not a material subject. It's a spiritual, transcendental subject matter. So that's why the transcendental subject should be studied under a bona fide spiritual master who is a pure devotee of the Lord. So here Prabhupada told that who is a devotee of Shri Krishna. That means we have to study Bhagavad Gita under a person, and that person must be devotee of Krishna. Because unless and until one don't become a devotee of Krishna, so how can he explain Krishna or how can he give Krishna to others? Isn't it? So that's why the preliminary condition to understand Bhagavad Gita is to study Bhagavad Gita under the guidance of a pure devotee who personally studied Bhagavad Gita from his spiritual master. So, in this way, Bhagavad Gita one should study and not to explain or not to study with his own way and not to explain it with his own intentional way. So Prabhupada emphasized on this issue. Then Prabhupada give example. The example of clear understanding is there in the Bhagavad Gita itself. In the eye, the teaching is understood by Arjuna, who hear the Gita directly from the Lord. Prabhupada here gave example how we should study Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada give the examples of Arjuna. So who was Arjuna? Arjuna was a great warrior at the time. And all over the world, Arjuna is a great warrior. So he personally understood Bhagavad Gita, in which he directly understand Bhagavad Gita from the personified Lord of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna. So directly he studied or understand this Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. So that's why right now anyone can say, oh, we cannot see Bhagavad, we cannot see that Krishna face to face at the time in the Dwapara Yuga. Arjuna saw Krishna, and that's why he could understand or studied Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna directly. But now we cannot see Krishna. So how can we release this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita? So that's why Prabhupada also mentioned that's One must have to study Bhagavad Gita either directly from the Lord or the representative of Lord. Because the representative of the Lord, they also teach this Bhagavad Gita as it is. The Lord Himself taught on this topic. So that's why we can see here that Arjuna was the perfect student of Bhagavad Gita, and we should follow Arjuna if we want to personally gain this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. We should follow Arjuna, like Arjuna gained this knowledge directly from Krishna. So right now, if we follow the footsteps of Arjuna, so we should gain this knowledge under the direct guidance of a bona fide spiritual master who will be a pure devotee of the Lord. If someone is fortunate enough to understand the Bhagavad Gita in that line of discipline succession without motivated interpretation, then it surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom and all the scriptures of the world. Very important line, Prabhupada should hear. There's how we should study Bhagavad Gita. I have already mentioned that. So we should approach a spiritual master or a pure devotee from whom we can study this Bhagavad Gita. So right now the questions may derive that where we will find this spiritual master or a bona fide representative of the Lord. So the answer is we should have to follow the disciplic succession. The origin is the Lord Krishna himself, and from Lord Krishna we know how this succession came out. From Lord Krishna, then Brahma, then Narad Muni, then Vasudev in this way. So the disciplic succession has come in this metal world. So if we follow the disciplic succession, so we'll see how this pure knowledge of Bhagavad Gita without any motivation or interpretation in a pure way from the Lord Krishna to right now the same knowledge. That's Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna mentioned. That's the same knowledge I have given to Lord Sangad. So the same knowledge now Lord Krishna is imparting in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, who is the most intimate associates, Arjuna. So the same knowledge we can also derive from the disciplic succession, the representatives of the Lord Krishna. So the important features of the disciplic succession is that the acharyas of the disciplic succession, so they never interpret the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or they never speak Bhagavad Gita with their own way. They teach Bhagavad Gita, they speak on Bhagavad Gita the way they understand from their spiritual master. So in this way, the Bhagavad Gita's knowledge is coming from Guru to Sishya, spiritual master to disciple. And again, in the time, again out of time, the disciples become Guru and he teaches his disciples the same knowledge. So this is the disciplic succession. So next, Prabhupada mentioned one will find in the Bhagavad Gita all that is contained in other scriptures, but the reader will also find things which are not to be found elsewhere. This is another interesting point. Is reader of Bhagavad Gita, he or she will find all the knowledge explained in other Vedic literatures because Bhagavad Gita is a summary. As you know, in the Gita Mahatma, it has been mentioned that Sarvopanisada Gavadutta Gopalanandana Partha Vatsasudirvakta Duktam Gita Mritam Mahat. So all the Vedic literatures are like the cows. So the milk of the cows is Bhagavad Gita. So by churning all the cows, the final nectar is milk. So that milk is Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, Bhagavad Gita is the summary of all the Vedic literature. So that's why if one read Bhagavad Gita, So it has been mentioned in the scriptures that he or she don't have to read other literatures, other Vedic literatures, because everything is in Bhagavad Gita. But the next point is there will be something which we'll find in Bhagavad Gita, but which will not find in other scriptures. This is the magic of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the summary of all the Vedic scriptures, but we'll get something we in Bhagavad Gita which will not find in other scriptures. So how is it possible? So one example we can give, like the mango. So from where this mango come? So just imagine there is a mango tree. There is a specific branch of mango tree. So in that specific branch, this particular mango grow up. So right now, the mango fruits it's ripe and very tasty. So if you just eat mango, so how you'll feel? It's a very tasty, sweet, isn't it? But the origin of mango is the mango tree. So if you just try to chew the branch, a single branch of mango tree, are you free? So you'll get some tit pain, isn't it? So by chewing the branch of the mango tree, you will get tit pain. But by chewing the mango, you will get the nectar, isn't it? So now tell me, from this mango tree, the mango came. So you are getting something in the mango that you are not getting in the origin of mango. That's with mango tree. So similarly, from the Vedic literatures, the in summarized or Bhagavad Gita come. But you will get something in Bhagavad Gita which you will not find in other scriptures. So this is the magic. That's Prabhupada mentioned here. It is the perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of God and Lord Shri Krishna. In this material world, we may see so many scientists, but who is the supreme scientist? Do you have any idea? We may not have any idea about the supreme scientist. We may always talk about so many materialistic scientists. So the supreme scientist is Lord Krishna himself because he is the supreme personality of God. So just imagine we are studying different science. So who made this science? The materialistic scientist. So if the material science can become so important, so deep, just imagine how will be science of the supreme science. Can you imagine? The materialistic science can become so intense. So how the supreme science can become more deeper? Can you imagine? And why it is supreme science? Because the supreme person of God spoke about this directly. So that's why we're really very fortunate that we have the opportunity to get access to pursue this knowledge of Bhagavad, isn't it? So next Prabhupada mentioned the topics discussed by Dhritarashtra and Sanjay so described in the Mahabharata from the basic principles for this great philosophy. It is understood that this philosophy involved on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a sacred place of pilgrimage from the immemorial time of the Vedic age. It is spoken by the Lord while he was present personally on this planet for the guidance of man. So this Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So it doesn't mean that this was the first time that Lord Krishna imparted this knowledge to Arjuna, the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna personally mentioned that first he imparted this knowledge to Sanda. So in this way, that in the disciplic succession from spiritual master to disciple, this knowledge has come. But at a certain point, the lineage of the reciprocal succession breakthrough. So that's why Lord Krishna again come to impart this knowledge through his pure devotee Arjuna. So this battlefield of Kurukshetra Prabhupada mentioned here, it's a very secret place and it's a very mysterious place also because this is a very secret place. It's such a place that's always victory supports the dharma. So never the irreligiosity can become successful in this battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this is the wonderful mystery of this battlefield of Kurukshetra. Always dharma or religion can gain the victory in this field. So that's why it's very special place. So Lord Krishna, that's a chose this battlefield of Kurukshetra. The word Dharmakshetra, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the supreme person regarded was present at the side of Arjuna. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the passage of sons, ultimate victory. So this is another important point. Dhritarashtra, why he was worried? Why? He was worried about the victory of his son. Because his, there's innumerable numbers in the side of Duryodhana. They were 100 brothers. And rather than Bhima, then Karna, then Aswathama, then Dronacharya, all the greatest warrior in the world, they were with the side of Duryodhana. So after all, why Dhritarashtra was worried about the victory, ultimate victory of his sons. So this is a very important question. Very important. Why he was highly doubtful about the ultimate victory? Because he knew one thing. Although my sons are all powerful, their team is without any doubt. Their team is really very powerful compared to Pandava. But one point, Dhritarashtra knew that now the battlefield is taking place in such a place, which is a very, very sacred place. The pilgrimage, Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra knew that in these battlefields only religiosity can gain the victory. Never ever the irreligiosity can get access to victory. So Dhritarashtra personally knew this. And he also knew this. His sons, they are all irreligious. They never executed the path of dharma. So that's why right now they are in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where only victory can, only religiosity can get the victory. That's why he was doubtful. In his doubt, he inquired from the secretary, Sanjay, what did they do? So that's why he inquired this question. What did they do? There are several kinds of doubtfulness in the mind of Dhritarashtra. Basically, when any sinful person, if we go to a pilgrimage, by the influence of the pilgrimage, sometime the mind of the sinful persons can also become changed. So, this kind of doubtfulness also arises in the mind of Dhritarashtra. He thought that right now my sinful sons, so they are to battlefield of Kurukshetra to fight against the Pandava. Maybe it may happen due to the influence of this powerful battlefield of Kurukshetra. The mind of my sons can also become changed. They may again forget. They may again forget their envy nature towards the Pandava. And they can make a friendship with the Pandavas. So this kind of thought, due to the doubtfulness, arised in the mind of Dhritarashtra. So that's why he was so doubtful, really. So, and that's why he finally asked the question to his secretary, Sanjay, that so what did it do? Isn't it a very amazing question? A group of warriors, they went to the battlefield. So their natural work will be to fight against their opposite team, opposite side. So if at that moment if one asks, what did they do? Isn't it a very uh, full question? Is it a very important question? No. But why Dhritarashtra asked this? Due to his doubtfulness about the victory of this already, isn't it? So that's why Prabhupada mentioned. Still, his inquiry is significant. He didn't want a compromise between the cousin and brothers. Dhritarashtra didn't want that his sons compromise with his brother's sons. And he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. As Dhritarashtra's sons went to the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that's why he was very worried about the fate of his sons. What will happen ultimately? That the fate will become favored to his sons or not. In this regard, Dhritarashtra was very doubtful. Because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned elsewhere in the Vedas as a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven. Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. As I earlier mentioned, there's a strong influence of this pilgrimage of battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only religiosity can gain the victory. So Dhritarashtra knew that, and that's why he was doubtful. Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this war influenced Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably, because by nature they are all virtuous. So Dhritarashtra also knew that his sons were impious. They always followed from the childhood the irreligiosity. And on the other hand, the Pandavas, his brother's sons, they're all virtuous from their birth. The nature was to follow the religiosity. So Dhritarashtra knew that. So that's why his mind was in doubtful that if the battlefield of Kurukshetra becomes favor to Pandavas, then what will happen? Sanjay was a student of Besa, and therefore, by the mercy of Besa, Sanjay was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra, and so Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation of the battlefield. So Sanjay, he was the personal secretary of Dhritarashtra, and by the mercy of Besadev, Sanjay got the Divya Chakshu. So that's why, although he was in Hastinapur, which was quite far from the battlefield, but although he was in Hastinapur, but due to his Dipachakshu, which he uh, got from Vesadu, so due to this Dipachakshu, Sanjay enabled to see the whole Kurukshetra, whole battlefield of Kurukshetra by sitting in the Hastinapur. And in this way, he was seeing all the evidence, all the incident happening, taking place in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he explaining one by one to his master, Dhritarashtra. Both the Pandavas and the son of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's mind is disclosed here. So, from this purport and from this text, we can very wonderfully, very clearly, can we assume one thing, that Dhritarashtra is doing the partiality to his son? He's doing the partiality. He always wanted the favor of his sons. rather than his brother's sons. So in this way, Dhritarashtra's mind was disclosed here, how his mind was doing partiality. He deliberately claimed only his sons as Kuru. It is also another important point. So their lineage was Kuru Vamsa, Kuru lineage. So right now, the sons of the Kuru lineage, they all will be Kaurav according to their title. But what did the Dhritarashtra do? He only gave these titles of Kuru to his son. That's why his sons are called Kauravas. But he bereft the title of the lineage Kuru to his brother's son. So that's why his brother's sons was acquainted with as Pandavas, according to their father. So this is the greatest partiality of Dhritarashtra. One can thus understand the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the son of Pandu. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out, so it is expected from the very beginning of this topics that in the religion of field of Kurukshetra, by the father of religion, Shri Krishna was present. He unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra, son, Duryodhana, and others would be whipped out, and thoroughly religious person headed by Yudhishthira would be established by the Lord. So, in this very beginning, Lord Krishna, one by one, is pointing out the real scenario of Mahabharata. The Dhritarashtra, from his name we can understand. Dhritarashtra, one who just always wants to hold his throne. Never ever, he just wants to lap his throne. Always wants to hold his throne. So that's why, by hook or by crook, by following the religiosity or irreligiosity, by supporting, giving support to the religiosity, he wants to hold his kingdom, which is old. So this was the stupidity of the Dhritarashtra. Although he was also a great scholar, but he don't have the enough intelligence to refrain from the religiosity. So in this way, at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna identified the irreligious persons. So they are all unwanted plants. They are all like unwanted plants. Like Prabhupada gave examples here. Like in the paddy field, unwanted plants. What the farmers do. So the farmers whipped out the unwanted plants from the paddy field so that the paddy can easily grow. So in this way, Lord Krishna in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he just acquainted us with us, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra with us. So this is the significance of the words Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, apart from their historical and political. So in this way, you can understand very easily the first text of Bhagavad Gita. What did Lord Krishna wanted to make us understand? Thank you. Bhagavad Gita as it is, ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.